You're competing to stand out and to be the best. And then once you are the best and you're in that position, now you're competing to stay at the top. That can be ugly, but it's all so competitive. When I came in and debuted in 2010 with Impact Wrestling, I remember hearing the fans chanting my name, and it was exciting. Like, oh, cool! They know that I'm going to be here, and it's my first night in. This is going to be really cool. And I like ran in, came off the top rope, and hit Sting with a side kick, and I hit him with my Rolling Thunder, and it beat him like right away. Sting even said beforehand when we talked about it, I don't want to beat the shit out of you with the bat, I said, no. He said, I'm thinking like hit you like one time. I said, yeah, one time, I'll sell it. That's fine. And then Hogan was supposed to be there. And we went out there, and Sting hit me with the bat, and I'm laying down, and we're looking, and there's no Hogan. And it's like, well, I mean, I could just lay here from the stick, but that's not me.
RVD debuts here in TNA with a monumental victory, but then pays the price.
It seemed like it went on and on and on forever. And so everybody remembers my debut as me getting beat by Sting with the stick, even though I beat him and pinned him. Everyone in their mind, they're like, what kind of way is that to bring in RVD and beat him up for 10 minutes with the stick? Finally Hogan came out, and then I heard later that he wasn't even back there in Gorilla. He was way down in another building in his dressing room. They had to go get him. And the next day, I was like, man, that didn't go the way I wanted it to, And I saw Hawk. I was like, Hawk, dude, I thought you forgot about me last night. He's like, what? I said, I thought you forgot about me out there last night. He goes, no, I didn't forget about you, brother. And I was just like, oh, okay. It's Hulk Hogan. What are you gonna do? I'll gladly take some heat for the Hulkster. I grew up watching him. He's the man to me. So I'm boom. I'll take it, whatever. You know what I mean? He's the guy. So that was it. So I didn't mind. A lot of the fans minded, but that's the way it is. I got nothing but respect for Hulk, so I would never complain past that moment. Oh, you didn't forget me? We're cool. All right, thanks, bro. If you needed me to do it, I'd do it again. He's Hulk Hogan. Come on, that's what I'm saying. That would be my first and only actually barbed wire match. I don't think I ever had like a passion or desire to necessarily put myself in barbed wire matches, but the fact that we were doing this and seeing how it was, I thought that adds a lot to the match, and that's pretty cool. And what I remember about the match, using the elements that were around us, there was a point when Abyss was on the table outside the ring, and I did a Rolling Thunder over the rope, landed on him and went through the table, and it was cool. Anytime you go through the table and get that crack and you hear the crowd pop, it's always cool. Like bam, it went off as you wanted. And usually it's a lot of impact, so it's good to be able to rest for a second while they're all cheering and stuff. I'm durable, and so part of my job is showing the punishment that I can take, and obviously I enjoy showing off in that way.
Spin kick, chair right into the face of the monster.
I see this footage in my documentary. I'm up. There's a part where you're seeing several chair shots to the head, and it has to do with the content of the consequences of doing that. And that's the part in the movie Headstrong. And I'm up on the top rope in position as if I was going to jump off. I think I'm getting ready to do a Van Terminator. I think I'm going to jump across the ring and kick this chair into Abyss, but instead he jumps up and throws the chair at me. It hits me in the head, and as I fall from the top rope, I go through the table of barbed wire to the floor, crack.
Grave danger.
Bound for glory.
Just watch this.
This is your revenge. Wait, oh God. Wait. Oh, God. Oh, God. shots. Talk about how the complexion of a match can change just like that.
We have tables with barbed wire, we have a chair. I love having that extra stuff because then I can be more creative to think outside the box. But basically, the foundation of that is what you really always have and can count on is always just gonna be your bodies. When Sabu trained me, he said, your body is your bullet. That's what he said. So he's like, basically, you know, you're gonna throw yourself at your opponent and you're gonna hit him, you're both gonna crash, it's gonna hurt both of you, but that's basically your agenda as far as attacking your opponent in this world with wrestling, with the high flying, with these moves, is basically, you got your body. That's your weapon, and that's what you have to work with.
Barbed wire in the face of the
go coast to coast this time.
I think the fans have a decent idea, even if they haven't felt it themselves, when they're watching a chair get thrown across the ring, smash into my head, and then for me to fall the 8 feet or so or whatever it is through the table, crashing onto, and my head comes like that close, I think, to hitting the leg of the guardrail too, since I've seen that footage recently. And I mean, that is what it's about. It's about putting yourself through things like that and hoping you come out healthy. At least healthier than the other guy. I remember just saying like, man, you know, I got a concussion. It was like the sound stopped, the music went off, everyone's like, what? Yeah, I wrestled Jerry Lynn at that Bound for Glory 2011, and I remember he was gonna retire after that match. And I was like, dude, don't retire. Like, I really wanted to talk him out of it. I don't know why I cared that much, but I enjoyed wrestling him. You know, we're always trying to find ways to outdo our last match. That's the way our matches always have been. The competition level of the RVD Jerry Lynn matches have always been such that I'm in the ring with him, and I just know. I remember last time I was in there, you know, I went for a leg sweep, but he jumped it and then went for one of mine, and I backflipped and did a leg sweep, and I remember that's what happened. So this time I'm gonna try and one up him, you know, and boom, this time when he goes for it, I'm gonna hit with the other leg, you know, and our match is always built like that. They probably tell a story in that way, that the matches were always like add-ons, and we always applied what we learned about each other from the match before. We weren't even like close friends before we started wrestling each other. You know, it was just something that our chemistry mixed in the ring and made that certain kind of suit. You know, there's a point where I'm out on the apron and Jerry is coming over to sunset flip me onto a ladder, which the ladder is leaning against the guardrail. And I think we both knew that when he went over to do the sunset flip, his feet hit the ladder and knocked it out of the way. So now he's got my waist and he's about to pull me as his weight is going down towards the floor. And I'm thinking, there's no ladder there. Like, if I go back, I'm either gonna land really, really hard on the floor, or the back of my head is gonna land really, really hard against the guardrail. And neither one of those normally might seem like the ideal thing to happen, but at that point, you know, it was pretty much like, well, let's see what's gonna happen. Bam! And I honestly don't remember if my head hit the guardrail or not. I think that it did.
The shoulder block from the inside out. Oh my God! Sunset. Oh, the powerbomb.
You know, now that I think about it, I think I had a concussion that night too. I don't know if it was from that move. It was too long ago to remember, but I do remember though afterwards, because usually I get concussion, usually like bam, a couple seconds later, symptoms are gone. I get blurry, sometimes everything's in slow motion, sometimes the sound is out, double vision. There's so many things that happen, but usually Usually it's like, okay, I'm all right, I'm ready. And it's very, very rare that I even feel it later in the night after I leave the arena. I mean, on a handful of times at best that's happened. But I think that was one of them, because I remember later on being in the hotel bar or whatever and just saying like, man, because it was like the lights, I was sensitive to the lights, and just a little bit out of it, and I recognized the symptoms. And I remember just saying, and I didn't mean to put that much weight behind it, but I remember just saying like, man, I got a concussion. It was like the sound stopped, the music went off. Everyone was like, what? You do? Like, it was like, whoa. I was like, oh, that's right. That's like a really nasty word now. Like it was just like that. Like I was brought into the real world of today, where you don't just say you have a concussion and be like, oh yeah, me too. That's how it used to be. Now all of a sudden it was like, what? What? And anyway, now, if you watch my movie Headstrong, you'll see that I learned a lot more about concussions than I ever wanted to, and I'm glad, to have this movie out and have it, that information accessible and share what I've learned. But that's one thing I remember, and it might not even have been that night, you know what I mean? But I think it was. I remember SoCal Val really freaking out and getting worried, like wanting to cry because I said I had a concussion. I'm like, no, I'm just saying like any other concussion, this is part of my job, like I think I actually had to take it back. Everyone was so worried. I was like, no, never mind. I was just joking. I think I had to like calm everyone down. I was like, damn, don't these people know concussion's just part of the job? Which, joke was on me. It really is something serious and something that people need to pay more attention to. Now I know. Now I know. We all do, hopefully.
The shiner underneath the eye, and that mouse is really starting. Oh! Yeah, you got it. There's going to be another one.
Yeah, now you got not a mouse.
Matching.
Now you got a rat on your eye instead of a mouse.
So, how are we going to outdo the Van Terminator? Or what are we going to do for a finish, that could be something not done before, to go somewhere we haven't and people haven't seen. We did the Van Terminator, but actually put the ladder over his face and then carried the chair with me. Sometimes when I do the Van Terminator, I got a manager that'll hold the chair over my opponent's face. If not, then I have to do what I call a skateboard, which is when I grab the chair and jump with it, and then have to put my feet on it while I'm in the air. Takes some extra skill. I call it my skateboard kick. And what we did this night was Jerry's seated in the corner, done. He's ready. He's ready to be taken out. Definitely vulnerable. I put the chair, squished it up against him in his head, and then did the skateboard kick and kicked the chair into the ladder, into Jerry Lynn, and squashed him with all that momentum. And yeah, the way the chair hit the ladder, that was a violent smack.
You may see something that you've seen before also right here.
Oh my God. Just lay out and let it happen.
I mean, that would be coast to coast.
Got just what we wanted out of it, like that's one of those things where I can't take it for granted. Maybe when you're watching it, you can be like, oh, okay, I know what's happening. I don't know what's gonna happen until it actually happens. So like I'm up there and I'm like, okay, I hope I don't slip off the rope. Okay, I'm up here, I hope jump. Okay, I hope I make it. I hope I don't kick the chair out of my hand. I hope I'm able to have enough grace to, to put this how I want it, and then bam. Perfect. And then you can lay there and rest while the crowd is popped. And I'm probably trying to catch my wind, because anytime you jump off the top rope out as far as you can and just land on your back, you can expect that to be pretty impactful too. No way around that. There's no way that a fan can really appreciate what the give and take is, what the level of competition is within wrestling. Pro wrestling, pro wrestling is a phenomenal entity that is unlike anything else that I can think of to compare it to, and it's such that it's impossible for people that aren't in it to understand it. No matter how much they think they understand it, no matter how much they can study interviews, footage, whatever, there's no way that a fan can really appreciate what the give and take is, what the level of competition is within wrestling. And then there's the people that want to just cling on to the entertainment aspects of it. The naysayers that'll say, well, wrestling's stupid, but hey, it's not real, right? And then there's the people even in the business that in order for them to validate that it's real, they have to start talking about their injuries. Oh yeah? Well, if it's fake, then how come my elbow's swollen up? That doesn't mean it's real. I mean, you could be in a Broadway play, and if you slip and hurt your knee, does that mean that the play's real? No. It means you fucked up. So even people that do it don't even understand it. It's such a phenomenal entity, as I said, for lack of a better word, in that way. Even when you're doing it, you have to do it for so many years till you finally are even comfortable with it. For the first 5 years you're wrestling, you don't know how much to give and take. You can totally get eaten up by somebody that's a veteran that wants to bring you into the ring and just, boom, 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 eat you up, make you look bad. And it's still not the exact same thing as getting a fight out on the street, because maybe you could try to end it there. Maybe you could try and stick him in the eye or something. But here, you're trying to figure out the balance because you're trained to feed, but you don't want to feed if they're taking advantage of you. So what do? Do you stop feeding? Do you start being aggressive against him? And then is that a sign of, is that disrespectful? It's like it's so strange that the more you do it, the more your opinion changes of what it really is, and the more that you really know about it. And then I even hear other people that do it that are young that are way off on what it is, and they're the ones that are changing the business. It's really crazy. And I'll tell you this, people can't know, but of course it's competition. People want to think that oh, I heard it's entertainment, so you guys are all just friends, like having a big pillow fight, and it's a bunch of fun. I can pull over at a restaurant on the highway, and someone will say, hey, your buddies were just in here. Oh, really? Who are my buddies? These might be guys I work with that I completely can't stand, but they're my friends to this guy. And hopefully they are my friends, but I'm just saying they don't know. They think that it looks fun, just like when your kid's playing in the yard. What they don't realize is everybody really does want to get ahead of everybody else. You are competing to outshine everybody else because you're the one that you want to be getting all the attention. You're the one you want all the money to go towards. You're the one that you want the promoters, the fans, everyone to be looking at. So while you're out there trying to tell a story, you are also competing. You're competing to stand out and to be the best. And then once you are the best and you're in that position, now you're competing to stay at the top. And that competition is in the ring. It's also in the back. When it comes to politicking, you're competing there by taking the agents, the bosses, the writers, trying to tell them, why it's a better idea for them to go with these plans with you instead of what they were planning on doing with that guy. And, that can be ugly, but it's all so competitive. I heard a wrestler giving an interview recently describe the competition of being in the mix of it. The way he put it was, he said it's like you're running a race and you're just running and you're passing people and you're giving it all you got and you keep passing, but the race never ends. I think that's a great way to describe what it's like. That's what pro wrestling is from the perspective of doing it as a person, as following the path towards your goal to make it where you want to in wrestling. Now, after 30 years, being on the side of the spectrum where I'm at, where I could live without it, so to speak, meaning it's the kind of business that you do have to eat, sleep, and breathe it to get in. You have to want it more than anybody else, and you have to prove it. And it's like a sin, like a locker room sin, to admit that anybody loves it more than you do. You seriously hear these debates about, I love the business more than anybody else. No, I do. I'll tell you what, they all love the business more than I do because they're hungry and they want to be where I've already been. And that's cool. I still love it. I'm just saying they're hungry, they're passionate, they want. What I want is consistency. I like being RVD. I like the way the world treats RVD, whether it's in the business of pro wrestling, and I get a lot of love from that. I love the energy from the fans. I love being able to reach out to so many people through the platforms that wrestling offers, whether it's TV, doing interviews, whatever it is. I enjoy all of that, and I enjoy not being in wrestling too, because I've done it so long. People could have quit watching wrestling 20 years ago, and I still impacted their lives so much back then, they're never going to forget me. I'm always going to be one of the greats in their minds that possibly influenced them to make a lot of decisions that they made in their life. And I have that responsibility, and that's why I like having control of what I exude. My positive energy. I enjoy showing off with pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is, like I said before, it's an art form of fighting. It's a combination of dramatics, acrobatics, physicality. There's a lot of stage drama. There's a lot of people that excel in one thing better more than others, and it's something that you can't just have one look that blankets everything. There's so many different ways of looking at it. The guys that really believe in themselves, and you have to believe in yourself. But I'm telling you, from the mind of competition, the guys that believe in themselves so much that they really think they're the best, that they really think they're the champion because nobody can touch them, good for them, but at the same time, I'm gonna think they're crazy if I'm in the dressing room. That motherfucker really believes that he's winning all these matches. Hey, man, fuck that guy. But at the same time, you gotta hand it to the guy. You know, he does great promos because he sounds like he believes himself. There's so many different crazy elements to this that you pretty much gotta pick your angle, figure out how you're gonna look at it, just like life, and then, you know, try to be comfortable with that. It's easier to live it than it is to explain it.